In spring 2013, I traveled to Athens with my students. Our host took us to the coast, showing us how unregulated expansion during the post-war building boom had cut off the city from the beach. We were heading towards the yacht harbor, planning to stop at Paleophiliro to see the flisvos sculptured quay by Greek artist Nella Golanda. Our hosts had chosen this project, completed in 1986, as a rare and successful example of how the beach can be made accessible. I remember that we were walking along the shore, half paying attention to our guides, half absorbed by the beautiful view of the Mediterranean. Suddenly, our pace slowed and we came to a halt. The students started to form little groups and chat together. Some sat down, others took pictures, one even did a headstand. I enjoyed the warmth of the air, the fresh salt smell of the sea, the intense blue of the sky. It took me a while to realize what had happened. We had reached our destination, the flisvos sculptured quay, but our hosts had deliberately not announced it. Yet, without any explanation or introduction, we felt we had arrived at a very specific place. There was no need to hurry, no urge to move on. We were simply present. I started to look more carefully at the site. It was an inclined terrace, made of concrete, faced with unevenly cut marble slabs in various colors, sloping gently towards the sea. There was no balustrade, but I felt safe because the raw marble surface provided a good grip. I stood on solid ground, yet closer to the sea than on any other part of the promenade. It appeared as if one could simply take a run and leap into the water or even fly towards the horizon. On one side, a niche had been carved out to form benches that were covered with stone and wood. On the other side, a group of benches seemed to rise out of the massive terrace. These benches were arranged so people could sit together and talk, despite the noise of the wind and the sea. A few steps led down to a small sandy beach, both protected and framed by the quay. As I walked around the quay, sensing the surface of the marble beneath my shoes, feeling the contrast between the rough concrete and the polished wood of the benches with my fingertips, I remembered a trip to the public pool of Leisa da Palmeira, built near Porto by Álvaro Siza in the early 1960s. The merging of the painterly, sculptural, architectural and performative that I experienced at Paleophiliro also reminded me of the Ghibellina Vecchia, where Italian artist Alberto Buri cast a concrete landscape over the ruins of a Sicilian village that had been destroyed by an earthquake. And finally, the nuances in material, texture and color beneath my feet at Paleophiliro also recalled the path of stone and concrete slabs leading through the halls of Carlo Scarpa's renovation of the Castelvecchio Museum Verona, realized between the late 1950s and the mid-1970s. During our brief stay at the flisvos sculptured quay, we experienced a comparable mix of guidance and freedom to move. In some sense, we felt like dancers and actors on a stage, performing freely without a plot or fixed choreography, led simply by our surroundings. Perhaps we were particularly sensitive to this performative aspect because we had visited the ruins of the theatre of Dionysus Eleutherius the day before. We were immediately aware of the quality and beauty of this place, which stood in sharp contrast to the randomness of the many infrastructure buildings we had seen scattered along the coast. But we were also puzzled and so started to discuss what we saw. Was this architecture? Was it a sculpture? Was it a piece of infrastructure? Was it scenography? Was it landscape architecture? Was it a stage for a theatre, a viewing platform, a jetty, a pedestal, a fortification, an outdoor lounge? It was impossible to define the genre of the structure, and we even found it difficult to describe its size. But we felt that what was built related in a specific way to our bodies, that it produced a state of heightened attention to the here and now, and that it sharpened our appreciation of our surroundings. I had never been to the site before, and I had not known about Nella Golanda until I arrived in Greece. Nevertheless, I felt a kind of déjà vu. Where else had I experienced a comparable sense of my own presence within the built environment? The relationship between the artificial and the landscape, between small scale and large scale, between the carefully arranged, almost ornamental stone slabs and the overall structure, reminded me of other places I had visited. I am not referring to this Greek experience in order to highlight my own subjectivity. Rather, my reactions and those of my students are typical of a general trend in current architectural discussions, namely an interest in the way we as subjects relate to our built environment, both physically and emotionally. There is a renewed interest in synesthesia in art, architecture, and design. There is also a renewed interest in the human scale, in elements that relate directly to our bodily experience, that allow us to identify and empathize with the very structure of architecture, especially as ornament is once more moving center stage. We experienced this at Nella Golanda's flisvos sculptured quay, where the stone slabs were arranged in an obviously ornamental way, care having been taken with the relationship between colors, textures, and the size of each individual piece.